Today, for our CAS practice, we're going to talk about people and culture. So, I'm going to walk through how I think about culture, how it relates to recruiting and retaining individuals, and then three tactical ways that I've instilled various elements of culture within our organization. So, oftentimes when I hear other firm owners talk about recruiting, they talk about how difficult it is to find talent, talk about how challenging the environment is with the drop in CPA applicants, the drop in accounting graduates. And the other component that I hear often is we just can't find great culture fits. We're looking for a culture fit. I believe that way of thinking is really challenging for me. The reason I believe that is because culture is a living, breathing thing. It's something that evolves over time. And so when you're looking for an individual to slot right into a culture, to not make any waves, to not disturb what's happening, I think you really limit the ability to allow that culture to live and breathe and grow. And so, the way I'd rather talk about this and think about new hires coming in is, will they be an addition to our culture? Will they be a culture add? Maybe they think very differently. Maybe their perspective is very different than what you typically see in your organization. And so, there are many ways in which you can evaluate this, but I would encourage you, I would challenge you to think about what are ways that you can identify how individuals can add to your culture. So, when I think about culture at a firm, because it is a living, breathing thing, it's one of those things that I often reference back to MVVP, your mission, your vision, your values, and your people. And so, those things, your mission, vision, values, will all relate to people in different ways. They're going to impact individuals based on their experiences in life, their experiences in work, in very different mediums. And so you may have an employee that had a core value at a previous company that's similar to what you have, and it may be really off putting for them because they observed things that were in contrast to that value. Similarly, every employee that you have is going to have a high degree of personal ambition. And so when there's an element of values that are synonymous with a lively and engaged employee workforce, the way in which their personal values, their personal interests creep into the values of the firm is a really close tie. And so, to the extent that you can create connectivity between what your mission is, what your vision is, and how you incorporate your values in your day to day, then you start to be able to tie that directly to your employees and their personal ambitions. That starts to create a really vibrant culture that leaves room for adaptability over time. So, three tactical ways in which we've implemented this at our firm here at Full Send. One, we've established a fund. This fund is a percentage of revenue that's allocated to an account every single month that is reserved specifically for employees to spend some money on the things that make them come alive. It's the Full Send Fund. And so we want to ensure that individuals have the capability to spend time in those things. So that's a different element of operations on how we try to achieve that personal time and freedom to utilize the funds to explore personal ambitions. The second way in which we do that is we look at sabbaticals. So after a tenure, after a period of time at the firm, we encourage and actively want to push people out and go spend time away from firm, because that's oftentimes when the most addition to culture and creativity may come back to the firm. But one thing we want to do within that is we want to connect it to maybe a bucket list item, a lifelong personal ambition of the individual. We want to try to make it really personal for the employee. And so we're walking through different ways on how to connect that. And there's no right or wrong answer to that, but we're trying to figure out ways to connect it to the individual. The last thing I'll hit on is that we have a high degree of connectivity to our community. We partner with a nonprofit organization, and we have a large event every year in which all the employees and community come in to help support this nonprofit. So we have an element of giving back, and the connectivity of that to our people is a really strong bond to understand the ethos of the firm. The values that we put on the wall are in action, and they're going back to support people in the community. So those are three tactical ways that we try to make this culture thing come alive, try to create addition to our culture over time. So I'd encourage you to think about some ways that you can think about how to add to your culture over time, as it will help with that recruitment and retention. Till next time.